Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all
Nerds!
International. With the hyphen.
The Murder Hobo Show presents the Savage Rifter Podcast.
Oh, where are we?
Oh my god, there's a robot!
What? Run away!
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, it's like we're falling through rips in the time-space continuum.
Look how we're in the middle of water!
There's only one way through this. Are you with me?
Yeah.
We must fight.
The Savage Rifter Podcast.
Welcome to the Savage Rifter Show, episode 13. I'm one of your hosts, Gary, a.k.a. the Murder Hobo, and I'm here with none other than world-renowned infamous riff superstar, DJ Jazzy Diaz.
Y'all ready for this?
The Savage Riff's G-Plus community fame. What's going on, Victor? You're looking good, buddy. That high-def camera's making you look svelte.
I've always looked this good, Gary. I just finally got a new camera that works.
I'm not looking at you like I have Vaseline rubbed into my eyeballs anymore. you're crystal clear.
Thanks a lot, Gary. Hey, everybody. How's it going? You guys know who it is. It is the one and only, yours truly, the Savage Rifter, here to talk about mine and your favorite subjects. It is the one and only Savage Riffs. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of everything, actually, because we got about 101 things to cover in this episode, but we'll try to keep it short. So you guys know what we do. We're going to talk about Savage Riffs. We break down the whole entire Savage Riffs piece by piece. Today we're going to be talking about the Dragon Hatchling. And I know, Gary, this one's the one that you've been just salivating over. You had to wait till all the other classes were done.
right to the end.
4-pager. I
haven't actually even peeked at it yet. I just want to know if I can breathe fire and eat people. Was that socially acceptable in Riffs?
Well, I don't know about socially acceptable, but if you can do it, you can dream it, you can do it in Riffs.
I don't think I've ever played a game where one of the party members has actually eaten. Well, actually, that's probably not true. I think I've probably played in a game where one of the party members just used to eat people all the time.
I know there's a story in there somewhere, right?
I'm sure there is. Fantastic. All right, well, let's kick it off and get right into it. We're going to hit it from the Riffs, get some news, and see what's happening from the Riffs.
Hey there, Mr. Suit-wearing guy. Yes, that's me. Don't I know you from someplace before? Yeah, I do know you. What's new with you, man?
Well, I suppose I can tell you what's new.
From the Rifts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, from the Rifts, welcome to the newest members of the Rifts community. I'm so happy to say 598 of you crazy people out there willing to go on this wonderful journey for me. So if everyone would please phone up your brother, your uncle, your nephew, your cousin, everybody who's playing at the table with you. If you haven't talked them into logging into the Google Plus Rifts page, now would be a good time to do it. I really want to see us get over that 600 members. I'd like 6,000, but I'll take it one day at a time. It's still early. For those of you who don't know, Peter Adams has become one of the moderators for the Google Plus page since I've been involved in so many other projects. I needed some help because I can't manage all 600 of you guys all at once. So he's been doing a great job putting some stuff together and babysitting the Google Plus page. But if you haven't checked out his website, you really need to go take a look at that. He's got some great stuff posted up there, some notes on his games, everything from the Temporal Wizard to Magic, an Undead Slayer, new trappings called Blood, adventure locations, you name it. Peter's done some great writing, and I think he deserves a lot of visits from you guys there. So please go out to mymegaverse.org. That's MyMegaverse.org, and give him a shout out and tell him we sent you. I'm sure he would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I was skimming through some of that. I'm surprised. 2 more members. Certainly, you must know somebody. You should just pay your coworkers or something like that to come on here.
2 more members. I just may pay my kids.
Right? I'm thinking you have more things on the go than you have members in the Riffs community. That's what I'm thinking.
It feels like it sometimes. Let me tell you, it feels like it. I was just talking to somebody on Facebook about that, and they're like, oh, yeah, I've got 2 kids. I'm married. I have a job. That's cool. What do you do? I had to stop and think about it for a minute. I'm like, well, at night, as my hobby, as my side job, as my real job, or my 4 kids, which one do you want to pick with? They were like, you sound like you're busy. Is it you have no idea? Underline, exclamation point, happy face, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's become sort of a lifestyle. You know, this like Hankerin was saying on the last Patreon thing that he put out there. This is no longer kind of a hobby for him. It's become a lifestyle for him. You're almost...
Well, it's crazy because like when you're a full-time, like him, when you're a full-time developer, game creator or whatever, you get up in the morning, you write a little, you drink some coffee, you eat a little, you go do some errands, you come back, you write a little more. That afternoon, you play some games or you get on an interview or you put on a YouTube video or you write a podcast, you create some more info. And then before you go to bed at night, you're typing away, writing some more. So yeah, you kind of have to live it as you go. But I think it's funny that you say that about what he says about it's a lifestyle, because I think I read something a few days ago where someone was talking about making podcasts, and I was doing a little, God forbid, right? I did a little bit of research on what it's like to have podcasts, what are notes, and just trying to, develop myself more as a podcaster, as a person who's trying to at least be better at his craft. And he said the best decision he had made was to create a podcast and put it out there and put himself out there. That was 3 years ago. And he said for him, that was one of the life-changing decisions that he had made that he absolutely thought he should have done 10 years before that. And I guess he just wasn't ready. He wasn't at a point where he could do it. When he finally came out and did it, he said, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And it changed my life, and it changed everything on how I think, how I work, how I live. So Hankerin's not too far off on it. And I completely can see where that's coming from. We were talking about it earlier today. We got 5,000 people downloading our podcast, which I think is absolutely freaking awesome. I mean, we don't get paid by advertisers, and we don't get paid by the number of people that download our podcast. We do this because we like what we're doing, but it does change the way you think. It changes the way you interact with people online, and in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. Because I know I've got to meet, and not only you, Gary, but I've got to meet a lot of other people online that I've never would have. There's no way I could have ever touched them if it wasn't for the internet and having this one form of communication. Absolutely fell in love with the community even more so. And I'm so glad we did it. We're really looking forward to another 9 months or 9 years, whatever God gives us.
I'm out next month.
Great, everybody. He just turned in his resignation. So we're going to be looking for a new podcast. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do it without you, Gary. I wouldn't do it without you.
I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, no, yeah, the internet. You got to love how the internet's connected people so much so that they're with you when you're taking a dump.
If they only knew, right? Where you were listening to them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do my best work on the toilet, but I'm not there now. That's why this is not top notch. Patrick, Shadow Dad Greenlaw says he's been listening to the podcast from the beginning again. Loser! Jim Snyder was asking about a spreadsheet, and Patrick Young responded and knocked it out of the park. There is a Google map with Rift's locations added to the North American continent. You can click on the links, read a little blurb about the area. I'm just stunned by that. We were talking on the Threat Streets and Timers podcast about a way to incorporate a Living World campaign, and there it is, man. Pin, push button area things with little blurbs. Very cool. Might be something to look into. And I did see somewhere else, too. I don't know if you've seen this, but somebody has taken a map and overlaid it across the globe. So I'm pretty sure that you could take a map, lay it over top of the globe, and then start doing your push-button pin things, which would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, not just a map, though. It's a live 3D rotatable Google map of the Earth, but it's Rift's Earth.
Yeah,
I've seen that before somewhere. I know someone has done it in the past.
Yeah, super cool, man. I was really impressed when I was screwing around with that. Also, too, in the G Plus community, somebody posted something about a YouTube channel that's doing some savage riffs. These scumbags think they can narrow in on our street corner and pimp their wares. I don't think so. I'll take Dayton, and Mitch, you get the big GM guy, Wiley.
I know where you live. We are stalking you as we speak. Little do you know, we're live on location right outside their house right at this moment.
Have you ever seen that Jay and Silent Bob
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know the movie? Somebody writes them like a hate mail on the internet, and they go to their houses, and the whole show ends with them knocking on this kid's door and beating the crap out of him. We're not going to do that, but yeah, if you're interested in checking out some Savage Worlds YouTubes, these guys, you can check it out at Karmic Cycle. Again, I'll put links in the show notes, and I believe that he is WILEYVERSE on Twitch TV. They're 13, 14 episodes into a campaign with a little, I just watched the 3-minute intro because I just saw this tonight, and then, like I was telling you earlier, I got sidetracked by boobs. So that's where I'm at.
I hate it when that happens.
What else we got? Freedom Squadron.
Freedom Squadron. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not been keeping up with the internet, there's going to be a Kickstarter ending soon. I believe it's April 12th. So you got about one more week to join in on this. Freedom Squadron is written by our one and only Sean Patrick Fannin. Him and Eagle Beagle Games are putting together his love letter to G.I. Joe, and it's called Freedom Squadron. So if you haven't gotten in on that, please take a second to look at the Kickstarter page. Just go to Kickstarter, type in Freedom Squadron. It's the only one in there. It uses Savage World rules, which is really great because I am dying to steal the card deck for, I think it's called Plans and Operations, that he uses to run the game and help develop some of the scenarios and stuff live at the table with the people that are there. It's really unique. I had an opportunity to playtest that, and I think we've talked about this on the show a few times. I had an opportunity to playtest Freedom Squadron last summer over at Crit Hit with Sean Patrick Fannin and a few buddies of his. So that was a lot of fun. I was really looking forward to seeing the game come out in Kickstarter. So now that it's here, I'm all on board. I'm waiting for the Kickstarter to finish so we can find out how much goodies we're going to get. It seems to be doing pretty well. It funded, like, I think within the first day, and it's just been going and going and going strong, just like the Savage Rifts Kickstarter. So if you guys haven't gone out there, please help out Sean Patrick Fannin and the Freedom Squadron. Check it out. You'll like it. I think it's going to be a really good game.
SPF, Sean Patrick Fannin. It's sunblock, isn't it? Isn't SPF sunblock?
Yes, it is. It's the sun protection factor, but we just know him as Sean Patrick Fannin.
Hey, I'm just wondering if you've read anywhere if the Freedom Squadron coming out it must be, or he must, because I know he's got some insides. I'm assuming he's going to have maybe a touch of the new Savage Worlds 2.0 Savage Black rules, probably, you would think, eh?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that some of the rules, some of the skill sets, and some of the other stuff from the latest Savage Worlds is going to be in there. I know he's privy to a lot of those conversations, but I don't know how much is licensing or how much of that content that he can actually include in the game. But really, you should be buying it for the stuff that's unique to Freedom Squadron. Sean Patrick Fannin's been really good about creating new ideas, or at least getting the teams together and the writers together to develop those ideas for Savage Rifts. He's doing the same thing with Freedom Squadron. There's too much content in there for you to go over it. I mean, that would take a couple of shows to go over the different content that he's putting in there, the different rules and abilities. But yeah, I think there's going to be some updated stuff in there. There's some new stuff that no one's ever seen before, that Plans and Operations, I think that's what it's called. Forgive me, Sean, if I'm not repeating that correctly, but take a look at it. Some of the new rules I'm dying to steal for Savage Rifts. Some of the new characters, some of the new archetypes. He's using a lot of the heroes tables that we use in Savage Rifts. So lots of fun stuff coming down the pipe for that, man. Just super excited, not only for him, but for the project. And I can't wait to play a game. I'm hoping he comes down to Crit Hit again this summer so we can play some more of that, because I'm sure he's going to be all over it. I've created a Freedom Squadron Google Plus page. I spoke to Sean Patrick Fannin about that about a week or so ago, and he said, yeah, go ahead, that'd be great. And I put it together, posted it out there, so I'm going to be monitoring that page for as long as he lets me, or as long as I have the capability to do so. So pop on over to Freedom Squadron. You'll see a lot of the updates that he's putting on the Kickstarter for Kickstarter members only. A lot of those updates, there's 27 of them now. A lot of those updates on what he's doing, what he's adding, what he's ramping up, what some of the goals and some of the new roles and characters and equipment and all this other stuff. It's all being posted on that Google Plus page. So sign up, sign in, and post whatever kind of story you want or whatever kind of information you want. You have any questions? Sean Patrick Fannin is one of the moderators on the page, so I'm sure he'll be one of the first ones to chime in and give you an answer.
Very cool. I was checking out the guns there was a thread that he was posting about guns and some of the new guns and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, just one of the cool things about it is that this is going to be a great tie into the Savage Rifts with some of the vehicles that are going to be in there, and some of the new weapons and stuff like that. When they just tie over perfectly to this. So much so that I upgraded to full dead tree on that Freedom Squadron. I'm going for the full meal deal there. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think you and I need to get online and play some of that once we get all our books and stuff. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I'm super excited about it. Now that you got your new Hot Rod PC, we'll do some TTS. We'll get that up and running. I think
that's what I'm talking about.
I think Shadow Dad wants to come out and hop online and play with us. We'll throw some stuff at him and let's see how he fares. Anything else you want to touch on before we hit the Nexus?
You guys know that I'm creating a character catalog. So come onto the Google Plus page, log in, and read the rules on the postings for the character catalog. I want to be able to put 100 fully fleshed out NPCs into a living PDF that we can all use and just pull our rabbit out of a hat. Anytime we have con games, anytime we have home games, online games, we can share those, post them up, and just play them right out of the book. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Also for GMs to be able to have some enemies to throw at the players. So either way, if you haven't gone on the Google Plus page, log in, and I think we'll be working on that. I'll be taking as many as I can get until I reach 100 or until June 1st comes, whichever happens first. So good luck, and I hope everybody can just figure it out. There are some rules. You do have to have art. You have to have the background questions answered, and you have to post it on Google Plus using Google Drive or Google Docs.
Mm-hmm. Take the time to fill out a character. Throw it in there. It'll make it into the catalog. I'm going to make a couple myself and submit them under a pseudonym. So when Dr. Decrecken de Poopenfinger shows up, don't throw him in the trash. That's maybe what I'm saying.
I'll know it's yours by the scribbling of the little stick figure that you're going to put in as a as your portrait.
The horrible spelling and punctuation, the childish nature of the guy that has, the poutine robot will be in there somewhere, I'm sure. All right, let's hit the Nexus.
Nexus points.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the Flamewind Dragon Hatchling. So if you're going to be following along in your Tommorow Legion Players Guide, you want to move over to page 44. God, Kerry, can you only believe that it's only been 44 pages that we've gone through right now?
I'm excited.
Episode, 12, 13, 15, 13.
Yeah, because what comes after this? What's next? The next is DBs and mutants, but that's not classes. We're going to be in the races. So we're finally getting out of the character classes.
Yeah, for those of you who are not Savage Worlds fans, or those of you who have been playing Palladium games or whatever kind of fun games that rock your world, it just goes to show you that even though this first one rulebook is only 140 pages long, it's taken us 13 one-hour episodes, or sometimes more, to just cover the classes in any kind of detail. There's a lot of content there for you. A lot of the stuff that is well known to be the Palladium Rifts world is still here. It's just concise in a cleaner, faster rule set that I believe is a lot more fun to play in. So if you haven't taken a look at it, go on to DriveThruRPG or go take a look at the Pinnacle website and go buy yourself a Tommorow Legion Players Guide. Believe me, you won't be sorry. So getting back to it, Gary, page 44, we top off with the Flamewind Dragon Hatchling.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the scariest character classes as a GM that you'll ever have, because one of the classic, big bad end guys is a dragon. I mean, everybody loves to do it. Everybody looks back to Tolkien. Everybody looks back to Dragonlance, to all the fantasy games and all the not so fantasy games that have used the dragon Shadowrun. All of them are serious threats. And when you use one as a serious threat, as a GM, you almost have to play with, with your guard up, because you know that the players are going to come full force, because that's the only way they're going to survive through it. Well, what happens when you turn the tables and you get a player that gets to be the dragon? It's kind of intimidating.
You know what happens? Poop bombs. That's what happens. If I'm playing a dragon, I totally want to be able to fly over top of a bad guy and just take a dump on him like a gigantic bird. Just boosh. Can you imagine the size of that once you were full grown? No? Yeah. I think as a DM, you'd probably be like, no, we're going to have to take a pass on that.
Yeah, I'm taking bennies away from you for that one. I'm not
just send us an email if you've done that before. Poop bombs. Maybe you play like is it only flame? There is no like electric dragon or like ice dragon or just fire?
In Savage Worlds, in this particular Savage Rifts, it says Flame Wind Dragon Hatchling. So it is a red dragon that shoots fire. But just like in all Savage Worlds games, just go ahead and change the tag to it and make it flame, make it lightning, make it acid.
Yeah.
And it's all numbers, right? What it looks like is what you want it to look like. So if you want to be a golden dragon that shoots molten gold at someone, knock yourself out.
No, I want to be a cold dragon that drops turd sickles. Frozen poo bombs, man. Imagine getting hit by that. Oh my God, that'd be fantastic. I mean, to drop one on somebody, but okay. So anyways, I digress. On with the show.
Hey, Gary, I need a little bell, so every time you come up with those crazy ideas, I'm just going to go, bing, you get a Benny.
I thought you'd probably just leave the show. You're like, this is dumb, I'm leaving.
No, that's what I do in one of my games. Whenever I whenever the GM gets out a Benny to someone, I picked it up from another GM somewhere. And you know those little bells that they have like at a front desk where you tap it and it rings. Mm-hmm. I use one of those. So every time someone gets a Benny, I don't even have to say it anymore. I just hit the bell, bing, and someone says, "I get a Benny." I mean, it's just like out of habit, they all just do it, and they're just waiting for me to hear that ring because I keep it behind the GM screen, off to the side, so they don't know when I'm going to hit it. So sometimes it's just fun to hear a ding, and you get a Benny.
You can train them.
Goes out to it.
Train them like Pavlov's dog. They'll all start salivating and stuff. That'd be excellent.
Why are you reading my mind for?
Okay, so what do we got here? Let's get this show underway because I'm still sort of infatuated with dropping poo bombs on people. Creatures of unbridled magic and psionic potential. Sweet, that's cool. Monstrous and mighty in their natural forms, dragons fascinated humanity for millennia as terrifying villains and inscrutable sources of knowledge. This is so awesome, dude. I can't believe you get to actually play a dragon. So, you can be a psionicist right out of the gate. Is there anything else you can do? Is there restrictions? What do we got here?
All right, well, let's go right to it, Gary. Hero's Journey. You're going to get 2 rolls on the Hero's Journey tables. You're going to be able to roll on everything except education, psionics, and training. And the only reason you don't get those 3 is because you have like a whole page worth of abilities and bonuses that a Flamewind Dragon Hatchling gets. So when you start out as a dragon, you're not going to be starting out as a full-fledged, full-sized, epic colossus of a dragon. You're going to be starting out as a hatchling. Literally, not even a few months old. But hatchlings are still pretty big and powerful, just right out of the egg, so to speak. They usually get all of their powers right after hatching, and it takes them just a few months to be able to fully develop them. Most of the times, you're going to get an early psionic bond with a lot of the people that you start hanging around with, and particularly the player characters. You're going to start to bond with them, and you're going to see them as your own brood, your own family, your brothers and sisters, and they tend to be very protective of them. Now, dragons right out of the shell are not stupid. They've inherently learned all of the skills and abilities they need to survive, and they have a pretty advanced intellect. They pick up things really quickly. They're in a real quick learning mode. So even new languages, they're able to pick up rather fast in just a few days. One of the things that I love most about the Dragon Hatchlings is that we've literally found them come right out of their shell, and they're mega damage creatures in Palladium, which means, shoot them with the laser. They're not going to have a blasted hole through them right out the gate. And it makes them pretty tough opponents, even though they're young. And they're not small. They're not small like, cat-sized. They're small like Clydesdale-sized right out of the shell.
Wow, nice. Yeah, I'm just sort of skimming through what it says here. They're born with the ability to fly, use breath as a weapon, communicate in Dragonese or Elven, and you can even grasp basic math principles, which is pretty good. And the one thing that they don't know is anything about morals, ethics, or how to get along in the world. That's actually kind of cool, because right now I'm getting a serious Transformer vibe. You ever see when the Transformers, the one of them crashes and then the Autobots and the Decepticons descend upon it to see which one can poke it first to convert it to their side? I feel like that's the dragon all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's the same kind of concept. A lot of the times you could really create a good or a bad impression on a dragon when it's very young, particularly if it's feeding or it's fighting. It learns that like it's immune to fire. But if you tell it you can't touch fire or you'll die, it doesn't know any better because it doesn't have any morals and it doesn't have any experience yet. So a lot of the times I've seen it. I've seen players kind of take advantage of the dragons and they'll like, don't go into the fire because it burns you. But because they don't think that the fire, I mean, yes, it's a fire dragon, but, they try not to metagame. And so they try to protect the dragon to keep it from getting in the fire. And so one time we were playing a game and the dragon was a hatchling and the dragon character, she was playing him just absolutely awesomely. And there was a burning house and there was a child in the house. Well, no one else could go in there because they thought they were going to melt. And the dragon hatchling said, screw it, I'm going to sacrifice myself and rescue the child. She didn't know why she was doing it, but she knew it was the right thing to do. So she went into the flaming building, and then she realized that she was impervious to flame. And she comes running out, with the kid and, drops the kid into some blankets, and she's rolling on the dirt and flapping around and making a big old dust storm. And she's screaming, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And everybody's looking around at her like, she's not on fire. She's not flaming. There's nothing wrong with her. Just totally just took the character to another level with that. And from then on, it was always a play on words. It was always a play on, I'm on fire or don't go into the flames because it burns you. And the whole time the dragon wasn't self-doubt, but it's that kind of impression, that kind of morality that you can put on a dragon hatchling. And if the players pick up on that and the player character who's playing her picks up on that, it can be a lot of fun. You can be really evil as a GM too. You can really use that against the players. So put that one down in your notebooks, GMs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I probably would have rolled into that house and come out, and I'd have been like, I couldn't save the kid. Burp. Because everybody knows kids and babies are tasty.
You're not right, Gary.
Unlimited potential, unlimited growth potential. So you start off as a little itty-bitty, tiny, giant-ass Clydesdale-sized dragon hatchling. You have an incredible array of natural gifts and powers, it says, according to this deal. What are they? What do we got?
So dragons have always been born with the ability to learn really quickly and all of their special abilities too. One of the things that I really like about the dragons is fast regeneration. You get a +2 to recover from being shaken. Think about that. You always get a +2 from being shaken.
Yeah, and if you only need a 4 on the target number, man, holy crap, That's a 50% chance right out of the gate. You almost never have to spend a penny to recover from shaken.
You almost never have to, and it makes it really, really hard to get these guys to fall. You have to do some serious damage to them. And you don't even need like an edge or anything. It's an ability that they have. Another one of the great ones, and one of my favorites, Flaming Scales. Yes, that means that a Flame Wind Dragon hatchling can cover himself in fire, and it acts like a damage force field. It does 3d6 points of damage to anyone that is within touch range or melee combat with you. And that is mega damage, not regular damage. 3d6 mega damage, and it's just you're covered in flames.
Yeah, that's cool. You can maintain it for a number of rounds equal to your spirit. So you just roll in somewhere as a giant-ass dragon, light yourself on fire, do a crap ton of mega damage on people, and you're just like a flaming... Wow. So it says that the fast regeneration can't be taken until veteran rank. That's quite a ways up, especially if you're starting at novice. I was just reading that. Yeah, they're
going to try to limit it a little bit. I mean, can you imagine if you had that as a novice? You're literally going to be walking around indestructible, saving all the rest of the party for most of the first couple of epic games.
Mm-hmm. So it also says that they don't start with arcane backgrounds outside of psionics, but I'm sure they can take it in the end, right? Like, never mind. I'm not editing that out either. They can get magic eventually, right? Like they can take arcane backgrounds, I'm sure, because dragons and spellcasting go hand in hand. They just don't get it right away.
Arcane backgrounds. They get arcane backgrounds, psionics right out the gate. But you can take arcane background, arcane. Just pick an edge. I mean, you're going to have 101 powers to begin with. It's not going to take much.
I see. Yeah, I see what it's saying. So it's saying that you don't start with any innate arcane background skills, but you can take them, I guess, right away. You're born with psionics, but you're not born with the innate ability to cast magic right out of the gate. But you could take it as an edge.
Correct. Yes.
Coolness. Jumping back to the flaming scales. It lasts for a number of rounds equal to your spirit, after which at least 10 minutes of rest are required before you can activate it again. That is minuscule. Like, I could see that being a once-a-day thing, but once every 10 minutes? Psh, who cares, man? Like, 10 minutes go by in a game in a blink, right?
Yeah, a couple of rounds, a few minutes to refuel the vehicles and reload. There's your 10 minutes is up, and your flaming scales damage field is up and ready. Man, and you got wings. Anything comes at you flying and stuff like that, you could chase it down. This is actually really exciting. Seeing that coming at you? That's the to see that as a player is to see a dragon that's completely engulfed in flames dive bombing you. But it's even crazier when the players are doing that to you as the GM. Man, you want to talk about making coalition soldiers run. And then you wonder why dragons are like the number 2 on their hit list.
Yeah, you just think about that. Something flies in on you on like some kind of flying speeder bike or hover bike or something like that. You as a dragon character... Yeah, just chase after it, grapple it with the guy on it, and then light yourself on fire and turn it into a giant roasting like marshmallow as it flies through the air and crashes into the ground. That's fantastic. Rifts is awesome, dude. It's just amazeballs. Low light vision, so dragons can develop night vision. So they ignore penalties for dim and dark conditions. That is super cool. And then what does metamorphosis do? This one looks like kind of a big one that they got going on here.
Yeah, so metamorphosis is a big deal. Okay, in Savage Rifts, when you hit veteran rank as a Flamewind Dragon Hatchling, you have the ability to be able to change your shape and size at will. Yes, you can appear as any living creature. You can be the size of a house cat to anything of your natural size and weight. A Clydesdale is a good example. You can maintain that form indefinitely, even while sleeping. So I've seen a lot of characters a lot of players once they get up to veteran rank, they'll take on edges like Arcane Background Arcane, and they'll turn into leyline wizards, and they'll look on the outside, and they'll have all the magic casting and abilities and psionics. They can take on the look of a mystic. I've even seen some of them transform into cyber knights with what appears to be cybernetic armor and the knight in shining armor deal. Even with a psi sword, because they have arcane background psionics, they're able to pick that as one of their powers.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they could sort of BS their way through it. It does say that they don't gain any special properties of what he mimics, but I see what you're saying. If he already has the ability to, say, cast a certain spell,
power.
Yeah,
he has that ability.
He's got it.
Right.
That would be wicked if you got into some kind of aerial battle or something like that, and you fly through a small crack, and just as you're about to careen into the crack, you change yourself into a small squirrel, right? And then you just disappear. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they do limit you the fact that you have to wait till you get it at veteran rank. But other than getting those special properties and the size and appearance, really you get to keep all of the abilities that you have. So. You know how you said there's a crack in the ground and you turn yourself into a rabbit or whatever? Well, imagine if that rabbit turned into, had flaming scale damage field. It turns into a flaming rabbit as it goes into that hole. You can keep those abilities because that's part of your metamorphosis. And then it says also only gear carried in humanoid form is assumed into any new shape. So even your gear will go with you.
What if
anything else?
What if you turned into a gerbil and you happened to come across Richard Gere and then became a flaming gerbil? Never mind. Size increase. As they grow, dragons gain in size. At seasoned, the hatchling, what does it get? It takes his advance, so he gets to be +7. Size +7. And at heroic, it gains to size +8, and you get +4 armor and +2 toughness. And you increase claw bite damage to strength +3d8. What?
Not only that, you get to apply a -2 to your fear, so you're less likely to be afraid of things. And you replace your large ability with huge. And each time you take this advance, you gain a die type in strength.
Oh, man. And AP 8. Armor piercing factor of 8. That is freaking insane.
And flaming scales, and fast regeneration, and low light vision, and metamorphosis. And that's just the racial abilities.
Wow. Teleportation is the last one. They can learn.
Because you can't do it all yet.
Right? Yeah, this is like the 5th edition monk I was just complaining about on a different podcast. Dragons can learn to naturally use the teleport power, rolling their spirit to check and drawing their PPE to fuel the power. And you can take this advance at seasoned rank, so that's cool. Teleport. I got to look it up somewhere and find out how far you can teleport. It must be a distance based on something. Smarts probably, I would imagine, right?
I think you can teleport to any place that you're either have visited before or are aware of. So you can't just pick a spot on the map and say, I'm going to go to Alaska, and poof, you go there. But if you visited the Grand Canyon, you could teleport from anywhere to the Grand Canyon. I believe, but I'm not certain. Too many games, too many rules to remember that one. But yeah, look it up. I'm sure it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time watching a dragon teleport. But you notice it says, I believe only you can teleport. I don't think you can take anybody with you. There's always a hitch, and nothing's for free. So there's some other abilities and bonuses that it goes into. And if you look on page 46, man, it's literally 2 columns worth of abilities and bonuses. The first one, and it's a big one, Arcane Background Psionics. So it says as a minor psionic, a dragon hatchling begins with 3 powers that can be chosen from the Mind Melter list and 10 ISP. He also has a beginning psionic skill of D6. So yeah, you turn out to be a pretty decent low-powered Mind Melter from the very start.
Yeah, that's cool. So just looked up teleport while we're on the subject. Rank seasoned. So it's a cloud of smoke phasing out, changing into a bolt of lightning. But what it allows you to do is a character can disappear and instantly reappear up to 10 inches distance for each 3 power points spent, or 15 inches with the raise. So you want to like blink across the map and put yourself right up against the boss to protect your fellow comrades. That's what you would use it for. But it also allows you to teleport somewhere that you can't see, but you got to make a smarts roll at -2. If it's an unknown area, it's at -4. So that's pretty sweet. There's a few other rules that are written in here and stuff like that you can and cannot do, but read it, check it out in the core rule book. So you could literally, it's like kind of like Blink. You could just go, from one part of the map to the next and then, flame on. It's so awesome.
Man, that's crazy. Because it's not enough that you can turn into a dragon fireball. The next ability you get is Armored Hide. Now hold on to your britches here, people. The dragon hatchling starts out with plus 16 MDC armor and plus 6 toughness in dragon form. Yeah, let's do the math there. Plus 16 MDC armor. Are you kidding me? This is one of the few things that can actually take a glitter boy hit from the boom gun and survive.
So you would lose that plus 6 toughness, though, if you changed into a squirrel, for example.
That is correct. You would lose the plus 6 toughness.
Wow, but you'd still gain the 16 MDC?
I believe so, yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, indestructible bunny rabbit.
Yeah, really? Maybe that
burst into flames. Can you imagine?
Yeah, you just start screaming, run away. It's all of a sudden we've just turned this into a Monty Python skit.
Just a flesh wound.
The claws and bite, it's got an asterisk beside it. So that does it say in here what the asterisk does? Because it says they can naturally attack with massive teeth and talons. Oh, asterisk just means that it goes up in power as you level. I'm sure that's probably what it means. But all of these things, what do the asterisks mean? Why is there asterisks? What is happening here?
I'm doing some research.
Okay, you do research. I'm going to read the next one. You get fear. In its natural form, a dragon hatchling is a terrifying creature. Yeah, no shizzle. I mean, the thing lights on fire, teleports, blinks, does massive damage. Anybody that sees the dragon makes a fear check when first seeing him.
Anything that's marked, to answer the question regarding the asterisk, anything that's marked with an asterisk is what you can use, is only usable in dragon form. So the claw bite, the fear, the armored hide, fire breath, flight, and size, and tail lash can only be used in dragon form. When you transform, you lose all those abilities.
Okay, that makes sense. I figured there had to be a catch there somewhere. Sure. Flame breath, here we go. How many people can I turn into rice critters with my flame breath?
Whoa, Gary, you've won the infamous Flame Wind Hatchling that can fire a bolt of flame at range of 12, 24, or 48 squares. And you do 46 mega damage. Man, that is massive. You roll like a shooting skill and you just pretty much shoot fire breath at whoever's within range.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that they use the shooting skill to do that, but I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, alternatively, they can do
fire a bolt of flame. Yeah.
Oh.
You can also fire a mega damage cone template that does 2d 10 points of damage. And yes, that is mega damage. Man, talk about melting the paint off a car.
Man, there's like you could fit like a solid 30 or 40 people inside of a cone. Dinner is served.
You smell barbecue?
That's right. I'm going to insert my ding fries are done, but I'm just going to be ding people are done. Insta cooked. Wow. Fantastic.
So it does say that you have to make an agility roll to avoid the cone attack. But if you fail, you do suffer the whole 2d10 points of damage. That is some serious pain right there. But it is a dragon, so you get what you wish for.
Yep. Flight is next. As a hatchling, you can fly at a pace of 12 and climb 0. Flight is usable in another form if it has wings. So if you mimic something that has wings, you can fly too.
Yeah, you turn into a bird, an eagle, or whatever, a turkey.
Yeah. Flaming turkey. That's super cool. I just love that you can light yourself on fire at any chance that, or anytime you want to. Impervious to fire, fire and heat, including plasma weapons. They do nothing. They do not affect you, which is very cool.
Yeah. It says that specifically in the rulebook, ladies and gentlemen, so don't let the GM steal that from you because that's a big one. Plasma weapons, any kind of flamethrowers, napalm, forest fire, burning houses, flaming children, you're immune. And they taste great.
Mm-hmm. What's next in the agenda? After impervious to fire, infravision. What does this do?
Infravision. So infravision, it just allows you to be able to see living targets. It halves the penalties for any kind of dark lighting against living targets. It's not low light vision. Low light vision and infravision are two different types of things. One, you see different levels of heat, and one you see kind of a light white, a starlight kind of surrounding around your target. And next, it comes up one of my favorites, inherently magical. Now, here's what we were talking about earlier. Hatchlings know no magic spells, but they have a natural pool of 10 PPE and can use any Techno-Wizard device. Now, there's a scary thought. A fire dragon that can hold a magical railgun.
You just got to go right off the deep end, don't you? That's awesome.
And because that's not enough, and this is the kitchen sink that Savage Rifts is, you're going to be able to take an arcane background and add your starting PPE to any of those gained from the edge. And he gets to take power. Oh, so if he takes a PowerPoint's edge, he gains an additional 10 PPE instead of the regular 5. You're just a walking battery, psychic battery the whole time.
That's
if you take
super cool.
arcane background and the PowerPoint's edge, you're looking at 20 or 30 points of power right off the bat. That's crazy.
Yeah. Limited metamorphosis. So you begin life able to adopt a single human or humanoid form for a limited amount of time each day. So basically what you can turn into like a DB, a human, whatever, for a number of hours equal to your spirit die. And then you need to do that, like you need to have like 6 hours rest. The dragon gains no special properties of what he mimics. Yeah, that's just like it was before. Only the size and appearance, but you retain all of your own abilities, which is kind of cool. Weapons, other personal effects up to body armor are assumed into the dragon's form. That's cool. So you don't have to lose your gear when you transform into, different things and stuff like that. And any other objects are dropped. Yeah. The process does not work in reverse. All gear carried by the dragon is dropped when transforming into humanoid form. Okay, so what's the rule on that then? If you switch from a dragon to a human, your gear melds into the humanoid form.
No, I think it's the other way around.
I'm confused.
So a dragon begins life able to adopt to a single humanoid form. He can maintain the humanoid form for a number of hours. The dragon gains no special properties of what he mimics. Weapons and other personal effects up to body armor are assumed into the dragon's form and reappear when returning to humanoid form. So if you're in a human and you're dressed in armor and you have a sword and a backpack, when you transform into a dragon, they get absorbed into the dragon's form. But when you reappear when returning to human, and they reappear whenever you return to humanoid form, any other objects are dropped, and it does not work in reverse. So if you're carrying a sword as a dragon and you transform into a human, you drop the sword. Okay. But if you had a sword when you were a human and you transform into a dragon, the sword gets melded into your stuff. So when you into your body. So whenever you transform back into a human, you still have all of those objects and stuff that were on you.
That seems a little bit weird. I wonder what the catch is or the reason why they would do that.
I don't know. I've never heard it used that way.
Yeah,
I've never heard limited metamorphosis kind of take that limitation. I'm sure that's probably so you can't take a railgun as a dragon, transform into a mouse, and then when you untransform back, you don't take the railgun with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, something like that. You wouldn't be able to
That's
pop
how
out
I
of
would do it.
yeah, you wouldn't be able to pop out of dragon form and then all of a sudden you're carrying a railgun or something like that.
And everybody, we're talking about page 46, limited metamorphosis. And I know we had talked about regular metamorphosis at veteran rank. One of the things that we talked about earlier, page 44 covered unlimited growth potential. And what that fast regeneration, flaming scales, low light vision, and metamorphosis and size increase and teleportation was about is dragons can acquire those as additional abilities like advances. Just like taking a new edge, they can select those every time they gain abilities. So whenever you gain veteran rank, you gain an edge. You can choose metamorphosis or you can choose teleportation. You know, when you go to seasoned, you could choose size increase and so on and so forth. That's the difference between the metamorphosis we were talking about earlier in the show and this limited metamorphosis. The limited metamorphosis, you start out as a natural ability right out of the egg, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Gary, next one up is Mighty.
Yeah. I'm kind of just shooting back. So when you're born, you get a strength of D12 plus 4 as a hatchling. Now, I skimmed right across the page to the dragon's teeth and claw bite attack, and they roll strength plus 3d6, AP4 mega damage. So
You're doing that math, get out the calculators.
Right out of the gate, you're going to be doing D12, I should say, which has the chance to ace, D12 plus 4 plus 3d6 as your bite or claw attack right out of the gate. That is freaking insane. They're also very resistant, starting with a D8 in figure. Neither attribute has a maximum limit. Where do you go to after D12 plus 4? Plus 6, plus 8, plus 10, plus 12?
Yeah, plus 2 for every single one up to, yes, I believe plus 12. So you're rolling D12 plus 12.
Yeah, if you took all the advances or put your points into that. Insane.
Wow. That makes my head hurt.
Yeah, mine too.
Welcome to Rifts, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it's all about, man. Pushing the limit of every single system of every single game ever written. I love it. It's one of the reasons why I love the game. It's a great kitchen sink kind of game, but man, you have not had any fun until you sat down, I guess, and played a dragon and rolled a D12, 3D6, AP4, and you're sitting here going, 12, it explodes. 12, it explodes. What'd you roll? 67?
Yeah. The next
only in
one,
Rifts.
this is ridiculous, man. Unless killed through violence or other means, dragons can live anywhere from 6,000 to 12,000 years.
They are pretty immortal. Yeah, they put elves to shame.
They require only magical energy to sustain themselves, eating and drinking simply for pleasure.
There you go, Gary.
Man, that kind of just takes the fun out of my tasty children thing I was talking about earlier.
Well,
they are...
Not unless you like the flavor.
Right? Well, you're doing it for pleasure. So, you know, a kid here or there isn't going to, yeah.
And because that's not enough, they are immune to natural poisons and diseases. Wow.
Yeah. These things are insane, man. Size plus 6. So in your natural dragon form, you're usually 15 to 20 feet from snout to tail tip and weigh up to 7 tons. Could you see?
Clydesdales.
Yeah, this means when you're not using your metamorphosis abilities, hatchlings gain a plus 6 toughness. 15 to 20 feet long, 7 tons. Do you know how big your turd would be? Seriously, you eat enough people, you are killing people with that poo bomb. Slow regen.
You would be the size of the turd, Gary.
Right? You're just dumping out a 400-pound, 6-foot-tall bomb on somebody. Slow regen. These creatures can even regenerate lost limbs over time. That is very cool, man. Making a natural healing roll once per day. That's really cool. So yeah, you wouldn't have to get stuck with stupid spatula hand or anything like that. The last one is Tail Lash. The dragon can sweep all opponents with his rear facing, or in his rear, facing in a 2-inch long by 4-inch wide rectangle. So you're kind of doing a little bit of a cone snap out of your back there. This is a fighting attack, and it ignores size penalties, doing strength plus D8 mega damage. Man, so now
you could crush a Volkswagen with your tail.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that you could do claw bite out the front and tail lash out the rear, all in like one. Because that, I guess you could, because they would be 2 fighting attacks. So you just you incur the
multi-attack penalty,
and that's it, right?
pretty much. Wow.
Insane. This has to be like the craziest frickin' class so far.
Like you could do claws, bite, and tail lash with a -4 to everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got to play a game of just all dragon hatchlings and see what happens.
Oh, that's dangerous. You want to talk about a long game? That was a long game. That was probably one of the hardest games I've ever had to run. Was a party of 5 dragon hatchlings, all different colors. Thank God.
You're just trying to spend most of your time figuring out who you can bitch slap with your tail. So those are the good parts, and of course, where there's good, there's bad, right? So let's get into some of the complications for the dragons.
Sure.
Let's see where they stink.
Complications. Yeah, the first one is cybernetics. Obviously, right? Their bodies reject those kind of foreign implants. So if you try to put in a robotic arm or a shoulder-mounted missile launcher that's cybernetic, no, it's not going to work. They're not going to be able to get it there. In my game, I've had techno wizards try to do that. Try to put cybernetic weapons or hidden compartments or whatever on the Clydesdale of a dragon that it is, and I made a quick judgment call, and I said after a couple of days, the cybernetic part doesn't never really graft, so you can't really use it. But they were adamant they were going to try to do everything they can to make it work. And I told them after a couple of days, their body the scales just pushed it out of the body, and it healed over the wound that was left over, because it's not compatible. The magical part of the dragon and the technological part of the machine just doesn't work together. Yeah,
well, you could get like a saddle. I would assume you could fly people around. You could have a saddle kind of a thing that would go on your underbelly as you're flying around, and that has, laser pointed guided missile system, something or other, couldn't you? Like, you don't really need that kind of cybernetic.
I can just see you playing in my game with a power armored flame wind dragon hatchling.
Are you choking on your gummy bears?
I'm trying not to.
Enemies, dragons.
What happens when you start talking about power armor on dragons?
We just think about all the things that you can strap on your sorry ass as a dragon. You could have like a glitter boy on your back as you're flying around. You just drop him off. He just sort of jumps off your back and lands in the crowd. You could have like guns on your belly so that shoot missiles as you're flying overhead. Drop your giant turd bomb. Light yourself on fire. It's insane, man. Enemies, dragons are illegal and reviled by the coalition. Yeah, no shizzle. Any dragon is immediately hunted down with extreme prejudice. Well, what's cool too. Back to the Transformers thing that I was saying. I'm assuming. Well, I guess all dragons. Maybe I was just making the assumption that you could have like the good Autobots and the Decepticon dragons and the Autobot dragons, but I guess all of them are hunted down. The coalition's a turd.
Yeah, for sure.
They hunt everything
down. The coalition does not play. That's one of the few things that they'll go after. Any person who they know is a magician or has magic or any kind of magical ability, number one. And then number two, dragons. They'll hunt them down. They'll bomb entire canyons. They'll level valleys. They will send out the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and every kind of special forces to go after them. What I think I read one time, that the coalition gives out medals, just like ace pilots get those little markings on the sides of their their airplanes whenever they have a certain number of kills or they have a certain number of downed aircraft. One of the Sky Cycle pilots for the coalitions, and they have special markings for the different types of DBs, the dimensional beings that they kill, and one of those is dragons. And They have an ace that has something like 9 dragons, and they're all dragon, and they call him a dragon killer. It's really, really cool story behind it, but they don't play. They will hunt down a dragon with extreme prejudice.
That's freaking crazy. I mean, and I can see why. These things are like extremely lethal. What is this form limits? It says that if a dragon transforms itself into a humanoid race with a restriction based on its body type. But so we got to check out page 150, such as non-standard physiology. See page 51. So it'll suffer the same penalties. Oh, so if it transforms itself into like a pile of goop or something like that, it's going to suffer like movement penalties or whatever it is that race has to suffer too. The GM can make the final call on what counts as a body type restriction. In their natural form, dragons cannot wear any armor. Oh, what? I guess, yeah, you wouldn't really need to. You're kind of covered in scales, right?
Mega damage scales that can burst into flames.
Wow.
Why would you need to, right?
Yeah, true. Why would you need
Yes,
to?
but they can use vehicular weapons adapted to their use. It costs 4 times the normal cost, but hey, you want that dragon mount, that shoulder-mounted railgun for that dragon harness that we have in the back? Sure, it can be yours. For 3.2 million credits, it can be yours. I've seen entire parties go on hunting raids in the Vampire Kingdoms just to get up enough creds and scrap and other things that they can steal and barter so they can buy the dragon-mounted harness for a railgun for the dragon.
It says it says hatched. Now, why is hatched fall under a complication? Dragons are born. Sorry, dragons are born, not made. They do not choose a race. What does that mean? What does this entire sentence mean?
Well, they do not choose a race. They don't get to choose, like, just because they transform doesn't mean that they're able to say, I was born a quick flex and then they transform into a dragon. No, that's not how it works. Plus, dragons are hatched, which means that you can steal the egg. Or even better, you can steal the egg they were born in. The dragons tend to have a little bit of a proclivity to keeping it or keeping the shell. They kind of seem to protect it a little bit, at least in the few games that I've played and some of the stories that I've read about dragons. But you can also find other eggs, and a lot of the time the dragons will hatch the eggs and raise them as their own. Or worse, you can have the eggs stolen before they're hatched, and then that's how the new character's brought out. The adventuring party is sent out to try to rescue the egg, and the egg hatches in the middle of the whole firefight or whatever's going on. That could always be interesting. So you can easily turn that into a complication if you're a creative GM.
Yeah, that's interesting that's in there. They do not choose a race. That's kind of like it just kind of sort of just seems a little bit off. Large. When not shapeshifted into a humanoid, dragons make for very big targets. Normal-sized opponents gain +2 on all attacks against them. Would they not suffer like the huge, you know what I mean, like +6 to hit them with missiles? Like you basically couldn't miss this thing.
Well, it says right there, normal-sized opponents, just like regular humans or whatever, they all get +2 on all attacks against them, melee, ranged, or otherwise. So if you have, like a robot, like a spider skullwalker that's firing its dual cannons, well, the first thing it's going to shoot at is the large target, which is the dragon. And then the next thing it's going to shoot at is the shiny glitter boy, depending on who's the biggest threat at the moment. And then it's going to go after your leyline walker or your magician, in that order usually.
Yeah, gotcha.
But it's going to hit the dragon from any distance. It's going to get that bonus. Yep. And as you get closer, it just gets easier and easier to hit it.
This +2 is based on the size of the hatchling, which is why it's only +2. So that actually has to scale as they become huge or large. That's going to scale. It's going to go +2, +4. They would almost take hits every time. It'd be almost impossible to miss them. Outsider. Dragon hatchlings understand so little of the world, they inevitably cause socially awkward situations wherever they go. Yeah, eating people, lighting on fire, breathing fire accidentally. A little sneeze and you've just lit the town hall on fire.
Exactly. You might as well be considered an alien from another planet, because when you're born under the earth, especially the craziness that is Rift's Earth, there's lots of things that can go wrong, and you don't know that you have to knock on a door before you go walking in it. Dragons tend to stick their heads into the windows and just say hello and freak the heck out of everybody when they walk into a town or a bar or whatever. They're just socially awkward, and that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, territorial. So they don't like other dragons. Now, if you were playing a dragon, would you have like a lair? And would you be trying to fill it up with gold? Or would you
that's
not
up to
be
the
doing
player.
that?
A lot of the times I leave it up to the player because they can be so impressionable. The dragon hatchlings are just that. They're hatchlings. They're like, maybe 10 or 11-year-olds. They kind of know what to do and what not to do, not to stick the finger in the door because it hurts when you get caught, or not to put your finger in the electrical socket. But they don't know how to interact in the world very well, and they're still kind of learning their own, how to move and how to walk and talk and what to say and what not to say. So the kids say the strangest things is a great example that I give a lot of player characters whenever they're playing a dragon hatchling, because dragon hatchlings will say the strangest things, sometimes at the oddest moments. But that's just one way to play them. So I give my player characters a lot of freedom to be able to make that up as they go. Some will take the traditional route and go and say, I'm going to find a cave and I'm going to turn it into my own. And then the cave gets invaded by the coalition forces or whatever you want. And that goes into a whole nother game. But you can if you want to. There's no reason why you couldn't.
What is untested?
So untested is because the dragon is so young and doesn't really have a lot of life experience. They haven't had a lot of time to develop any kind of morality, any kind of limitation. So like I said before, you'll have a dragon walking down the middle of an old Wild West town in southern Arizona or northern Mexico. And while they're walking down the town, they hear some music coming out of the tavern. Well, the PC character, the player character will pick up on that, and go trotting over and, shaking the ground as it goes and stick his head right through the glass window and through the glass, shutters or whatever, and say hello. And it starts poking his head around his long old neck. Well, it doesn't know that it needs to use the door or that it should knock or it should probably wait or transform into a cowboy like the rest of the guys that are sitting around the bar. It just goes charging right in and says hello and smells food because it's hungry. It doesn't know any difference. So a lot of the times it doesn't understand what happens when people die, or when people are born. What happens when a rift opens up and it sees other creatures scarier, bigger than it does, and it runs off to go play with them because it thinks those are big, fun things to play with. And then, they usually get shot or gets hit with plasma or, whatever, and it starts to learn its lessons. So that being untested is really important for the player characters. But as a GM, it can also be really, really good fuel for you to add to that fire, so to speak, with the player characters. It's a lot of fun, but it creates a lot of hindrances and other things that you can use or create at the end of the first session. So it says specifically when you create a Dragon Hatchling character, the player selects no hindrances to start with. Instead, you select one hindrance at the end of the first game session. So it allows you to be able to role play that out and then develop that hindrance as it goes. Maybe it becomes afraid of rabbits. For whatever reason, something could have happened in the game where it gets a phobia to rabbits. So now at the end of the first session, you have a hindrance phobia, rabbits sitting on your character sheet because of what happened. And that's kind of a cool way to be able to incorporate that complication into the game. And then once all your major hindrances are selected, you choose one major and 2 minor, just like the normal rules. Mm-hmm. You can spend the points on your character. You can work out whatever's appropriate with your GM. And this represents imprinting and a growth spurt for the Dragon Hatchling after the very first game. And you can continue to develop that as you go throughout the character. Just work with your GM to be able to help get that storyline put out there, because sometimes it may take more than one session to be able to develop that into something good. But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that part of the game, watching the player character play out the dragon that's kind of learning, that gets that growth spurt and how the hindrances work out.
Yeah, I see what they're getting at then, because in Savage Worlds, when you take hindrances, your 1 minor, your 1 major, and your 2 minor, you're going to get a few extra points that you can apply to picking up maybe an extra edge or traits or stuff like that, but you don't get any of that. Untested basically means that you play the first couple of sessions without anything, and then once you every session you take another hindrance, a major, and then 2, and then you get your points that you can stick into different slots. That represents a growth spurt.
So as you go,
that's cool.
Go and the character develops, right? You can get that like arcane background, arcane magic or spells. And say you got one major phobia, rabbits, in the very first session. Well, in the next section, you come out, hey, I learned how to cast magic. But the drawback is I'm scared to death of rabbits. So you can use that against the character.
Yeah, the last one is very young. Dragon Hatchlings start out very young. They begin with 3 points to adjust their attribute skills or to their attributes, and only 10 skill points. So they're kind of taking a bit of a knock on that, because normally you would get 5 and 15. So because they start out with this hindrance, well, kind of a hindrance, it's just a racial thing, very young, you get 3 and 10, and you can't take the young hindrance. So this complication does not grant an extra Benny each session. That's kind of cool. So you do start with a few less things, which is stinky, but still.
Look at the advantages you get, though. You have a mega damage creature. You have bite. You have claws that are all mega damage. You have a tail hit that's mega damage. You can fly. You have a number of abilities you can pick right off the top of the off the bat. Arcane background psionics. And let's just give you fire weapon, because you can't do anything else. Like, seriously, you're a walking, talking tank is pretty much what you are. And you can fly. I mean, come on. Getting next to a glitter boy, I think playing a dragon is probably the second best thing.
This is going to be one of the fastest sections that we've ever done. Dragon Hatchling starting gear? None.
You get the shell you were born in. That's
it. Yep. In human form, you can use any weapons and armor, but dragon hatchlings set out in the world with only their natural gifts. You get 0.
What more do you need?
Now
this is your favorite part, the little extra stuff. It says to survive and thrive the dragon hatchling. Now, here's some hints for playing a dragon. And I also love these little snippets that they put in the side.
The first one's funny.
There's always some fun stuff in there. So it starts out with you're playing a dragon, obviously. It says this is pretty awesome, and it means that you have a lot of natural power to throw around. It also means you're target number 1 for a lot of heavy armored opponents, which is important to remember. Dragon hatchlings are very, very young. They are inherently intelligent. They're ignorant and naive. This can be great for role playing. So play that up. Work on the annoying and the frustrating part of it. If you play it wrong, work it into the player character. Just be careful on which side of the line you fall on. And last but not least, it goes into talk about tendencies to bond with and imprint those you first travel with. Is a very powerful storytelling tool. You should also greatly inform your early character development. This includes your hindrances and your further advances. So, work it in with the players that are around you, around the table. These are going to become your brothers and sisters, your brood, your fellow hatchlings. You may even start to look at them as other dragon hatchlings and wonder, why can't you guys transform? That was one of the common role-playing things that I would hear a lot from a lot of players once they would get into their games of, hey, why do you guys always run around in your human forms or in your not regular bodies? Why can't you transform like I do? And then, that dragon goes, oh, you mean you guys aren't dragons? Oh, okay, that's all right. But you have a moment there when you're like, oh shit, it's going to hit the fan. Here we go. We're going to be fighting our own dragon here. I've seen that happen a lot, and it's a really fun moment, and you can really play it up as a GM.
Yep. And it ends with a nice little quote from Uther, Flamewind Dragon Hatchling. It says, "You see, I captured you because you and your coalition were trying to kill us. Well, mostly trying to kill me. Now, stay still and let me check with my Cyber Knight friend. I am still a bit unclear on what it is, or on what is and what is not food when we're out in the wilderness." Yeah, it's like, hey, buddy, you don't mind if I eat this guy, do you? Like,
and everybody's standing around going, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, have at her. And that's it. Next week, we're going to be doing DBs and mutants, some custom races, and we're going to be switching it up finally. Almost to page 50. We're about a third of the way through this book. It's only been 8 months.
Yeah, it's only been 8 months and 50 pages. Wow.
I'm sure, now that we're through the classes, the deep dive and stuff like that, we can really blast through some of this book. But I'm really excited to look at some of the different races and whatnot that you can play. It's going to be pretty sweet. So,
yep, the blind warrior women of Altara.
Yeah, tell me more.
One of my favorites, the Dog Boys.
Yeah, you like the Dog Boys?
Oh, Dog Boys are fun. Dog Boys are a lot of fun because they can smell magic.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, they have an innate ability to be able to detect magic and psionics. The Coalition uses the Dog Boy packs as like special forces teams to hunt down other magic users and psionicists, so they can detect them even in a crowd of people. The Dog Boys could run in and tackle a child, and they know that he can cast magic, and so they arrest him and have him killed later on.
Nice, that's awesome. All right, well, that's it for this edition of the Nexus Points. We're finally finished with the character classes. Super cool. Next week, we're going to pick it up, and we're going to start talking about the races, the DBs and the mutants, coming up next time.
Whoa! Bloody hell! Oh man, I love this guy! Do we have to go yet? Yes? Oh, please! Of course we do! We've got work to do! Please can we stay just a little bit longer? Stop it, Jeffrey! Right, come on back through the rift there! Fine! Anyhow!
Well, the sweet sound of that rift opening means it's time to pack up, portal out. We're no longer Thelma and Louising styling this rift. I seriously need to change the notes, man. I gotta kill that stupid section. Copy paste for the loss. Victor. How can people reach us if they want to send us some sweet email and tell us about all the mistakes we made about the stupid dragon?
You can reach us at murderhoboshow@gmail.com or get us on Twitter if you can keep it under 140 characters at Murder Hobo Show. Or, of course, over at the Google Plus page, Murder Hobo Show under the Nerds International banner. And you can reach me directly at the Google Plus Savage Rifts page, where the community is always writing, rolling, and playing your and my favorite game, Savage Rifts. So please check us out. Come out to all the different places. Send us an email, murderhoboshow@gmail.com, and let us know what you think. Be sure to check out the newest podcast on the Nerds International deal, which is Finding the Narrative with Chris Holmes and Tony Fanny.
Sweet ass new Genesis podcast. They just pumped out their 6th episode, something like that. Maybe 4th or 5th. I don't know. I listen to it all the time. It's fantastic. I mean, if you like Genesis, that's the place to go. Those two guys are gonna have some sweet, I think, sexy time in the hotel room is what they were talking about in the last episode. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't want to know how you know that.
Secrets. Don't forget to catch our other podcast, Threats, Treats, and Timers. We talk about ICRPG, and ICRPG Core 2.0 is due in another week. We just got the news today that it was delayed a bit. I'm pretty excited about that, but yeah, what do you do? Man, I've been listening to him. I signed up on his Patreon there. I got to say this the other, and he puts out his own little podcast that you can get if you're a Patreon subscriber to Runehammer. It's full of nuggets, full of good stuff. I was listening to him talk about chunks and a few other things today. I love it. And it may not be a Savage Rifts thing, but there are some things that you can grab out of this that you can easily incorporate into your Savage Rifts game. Super cool.
Timers.
Yes.
That's all I got to say. The magic timer die. For those of you who play ICRPG, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And just a little spoiler, if you guys want to take a listen to our other show, Threats, Treats, and Timers, we talk about ICRPG a lot, and it's a great show. It's a great game. Can't wait to see ICRPG Core 2.0 come out. Super excited for that. But just a little spoiler, I am writing the ICRPG World Primer for Rifts.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
There you go. That's
all
going
right.
to be awesome. It's already up to like 40,000 pages, but we're getting there.
Tune in next time. We'll have another action-packed show. We'll be tackling more, not in the character section of the Player's Guide, more on the races. Very cool. Dog Boys. What else is in there? Psy-Stalkers, and some other stuff, man.
Tremadors, Quick Flex, the Lin Serials, Psy-Stalkers, the Fenoti, the Blind Altara Women, the Denora. There's a whole slew of races we're going to go through.
Man, there's so much material in this amazing universal setting. Check us out on the next episode. Thanks, everyone. That's it. We're out of here, Victor. Not too bad.
Have a great night, folks. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we timed it pretty good. We did that bad boy in like an hour and 15, and we didn't sort of get off track.
And it only took us 13 episodes to get it there.
I feel like this was somewhat pro.
Yeah.
All right, we're out. The Murder Hobo Show is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and education or review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Murder Hobo Show, copyright 2018, all rights reserved.